Alright, welcome back. This is a very exciting part of the build, I guess, because at the end of this video we will be up to this step 8 right here. So right now in this video we are going to be doing step 6, 7, and 8. So for that, parts needed, we will need, or you will need, I already have them, you will need to print those, which are two pieces that go together for those parts right here. You'll need to print two sets of those, and once you peel the brim off and bond those together, you will get something that looks like this. So you'll need two of those made. You will also need, for these parts right here, I modified these here just very slightly. Those look like this and this. The original kit parts, it was only two pieces. One would kind of fit inside of the other, then you had a post going in and out. Instead, I printed two of these with a hole in it, and then these, again, once we peel the brim off, once we peel that brim off, those go together to make just a rod, or a shaft, I should say. That will go here, and those will sit this way, and that's what the legs will go onto. Now, one thing about these, as I mentioned before, these are all printed out of ABS because I want a nice soft friction fit. And with warpage of ABS, you can see what happened here. As it cooled, it came off of the support material. So if I go and pull that off, and same on the other one, not as bad, not near as bad, but still a little bit. So what I might do is reprint these. We'll see how they fit. But those should go that way. Now what I'll do is I will flatten this up a bit off camera. I'll just kind of slice back here to even that up and see how they fit together this way. And then of course these two being bonded together, they go through that and into the lower body parts. Again, we'll get back to those. So you need to print all those. You will also need to print these two pieces right here. Those come into play right over here. Probably one of the last few items that go on. And you will need this, which goes here, right on the front. And I'm just realizing I never printed that part right here yet, that G9 part that goes in here. So I still need to print that. And you will also need the shoulder bells or shoulder pads, whatever you want to call those. That's actually on the printer right now. You might hear the printer in the background. So those are on the printer now. And is that it? Seems like we're missing something. Oh, yeah. You need those and those, the main body parts. Now, I did these as separate pieces. If you take a look at the kit parts, you have one piece for the front and one piece for the back. Now, I did them as 6 separate pieces instead of 2 because they're different colors and I didn't want to paint anything. Plus, if I were to put this right here, if I were to put this on my printer, that would be close to 20 hours of printing, and it would fit on the bed. It'd be close, but it would fit. That'd be like 20 hours worth of printing. Now, one thing I want to talk about before I get into these pieces and how they go together is the color. I decided to go with the box art colors. If we take a quick look at the box, you can see it's got a red top, blue legs, silver arms, with a red and white motorcycle. Now, as I've mentioned before, from the box, it says GoBots Cy-Kill. This is not what GoBots Cy-Kill looks like, at least none of the images I can find of him. The actual Cy-Kill from GoBots is a robot that transforms into a motorcycle. This is a person in body armor that has a motorcycle as a backpack. There's a few other sources from this. Now, I gotta thank somebody who left a comment on Thingiverse I apologize, I forget the commenter's name. I don't have that right in front of me now. But somebody on Thingiverse commented and said that this was originally from, well, originally I think it was, I think inspiration came from Cy-Kill from GoBots, but then it went to Mospeada. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Mospeada, Genius Hill Climber, or Genesis Hill Climber. I gotta look that up again. And I think this character is called the Cyclone or something like that. And then the English version of that is Robotech. And I just recently started watching Robotech, and so far I'm almost done with season 1, and they have not had this character on Robotech yet. And then there's another one, it's, and I think on Mospeada Hill Climber, it's, the character's name is, well, there's several of them, it's like an army force. But one of the main characters, his name is Lancer. And then you've also got, crap, I'm drawing a blank of it. There's another name for a Blospirier. Blospirier, I think that's the Japanese name, Japanese version, Blospirier. So what I did was I went online and I did an image search for all of those. I did image search for GoBots. I did not see this character at all. I saw the old weird-looking Cy-Kill guy. But I did a search for the Mospeada, for Robotech, for Blospirier, and I could not find a single character with this color scheme. I found some that were all red, found some that were all blue, I found some that were different shades of blue and green, like blue legs at the green top, or just all different shades of green, or all different shades of blue, or like shades of gray. But I could not find one image of this paint scheme, or this color scheme. This is the color scheme for Cy-Kill. Like if you look at the original GoBots Cy-Kill, again, he's just a robot that transforms into a motorcycle. He has this paint scheme, or this color scheme, with the blue legs and the red top. So I don't know if Monogram is just confused. I don't know what's going on with this. However, I chose to go with the box art colors, with the red top, the blue legs, and the gray arms and legs, and gray middle here. So that's why it's like this. If any of you know better, feel free and leave in the comments on the different colors, and if there is one of this color scheme, or if Monogram was just completely confused, just, you know, please let me know. I'd appreciate it. So again, per the kit, this was one piece. I broke it up into 3 separate pieces just to show you how they go together. This one here, I just drew it like solid like this, but I printed it on the bed this way, and I printed with 0 tops, 0 bottoms, and a 0% infill, and 3 wall thicknesses. And it's a little bit flexible, but it's plenty strong enough. And the bottom part, this will receive those pieces where the legs attach. We'll get to that in a second. And there's a recess here to where this, and you notice I actually included a little recess around here. I don't know if that's coming up on camera very well. A little recess there, and that, you know, if you look at that fit, I don't mean to toot my own horn, but I mean, come on, look at that. It just snaps in there, right? I mean, obviously I'm going to glue it, but I'm just very impressed with my luck that fit so almost pretty much perfectly. And then the other part, now if you look at the inside of the top front, you've got these pieces where this will go. That's where the arm goes in, of course one on this side. And you've got the socket here for the shoulder pads, or the shoulder bells, whatever you want to call them. And again, that's what's on the printer right now. So obviously I can't bond the halves together till those parts are done. But this also has a recess around here that accepts this like so. And again, just goes to show you my good luck abilities, that fit perfectly. First try as well. It's a little bit of gap, but you don't have to sand anything. That's just ready to bond right in there. Similar story with the bottom. With this one, I didn't really put a recess here, but it just fits in there Nice fit in there. Now this still has the support material in it. I still need to, well, just like that. Support material comes out really nicely, like that. But again, that middle section just sits right in there. Now the other part, yeah, I can't brag so much. It fits, but I did not give myself much of an overlap here. There's enough, there is some overlap. But when we bond this in, we're just going to have to make sure that it's pressed all the way up in there. If I can hang on to these parts, just make sure that it's pressed all the way in there when we bond it, so we don't leave, we don't want a gap like that, so we got to make sure it's all the way in. So my plan for this is to bond these three together. I'll put them on a flat surface, probably a piece of glass, and I will put the solvent on the flanges here. Then I will just press them, put them together like that, and I will just press and hold them together perfectly flat. And so this will then be one piece. And then as I start putting the other parts on, I will do each of these pieces one at a time. I don't want to do the top and bottom individually. That was upside down. I don't want to do the top and bottom individually because even though these pieces fit pretty much perfect, if I got, say, 1/2 millimeter here one way or the other, and I got this one 1/2 millimeter one way or the other, then when I put them together, I would have like a 1 millimeter gap on one edge. And so I think I'll have better luck if since these three fit the best, I'll bond those three together, then I'll build those on one at a time. I think that'll give me my best results. So anyways, since we're waiting for a couple more parts to print, I will go ahead and get those bonded together, and we'll work on some of these other pieces and getting those to fit okay. So I'll get back to you once this is all bonded up in just a second. All right, so I got this bonded together, and I went ahead and fitted that peg in, and again that's was two pieces that went together, and those are for these pieces here that connect to the legs. And after kind of sanding those flat, they actually fit together pretty well, so I think those will work out for me pretty well. Now one thing about these, don't sand too much off of these at all. If you do, they'll probably be too loose in the leg sockets. I basically just scraped off where it was on the bed just to get rid of the edge there to make them rounder, and they fit pretty well just like that, so I wouldn't really sand those much at all, if any. So we can go ahead and put these on here, and again just sanded the inside so it's a nice fit, nice friction fit, so the legs aren't all flopping around. And I didn't really screw up, but I could have done something a little bit better. I didn't leave much sticking out here. Now it will engage into the other part, but not as far as it is in here. I shoved it in really far here, which means it'll just barely engage the backside, which is fine as long as it is supported. Even if it's not, this is going to give it plenty of support, so it'll be fine either way. But it does go into the other piece, maybe 2 millimeters, give or take. Now, before we could get too much further along with the rest, we need to worry about the wires for the lighting in the legs. And again, that part is completely optional. You don't have to do that. What I decided to do is just make some plug-in, some sockets. And so I have 2 sockets on here, and they're just C8 in place. And power, got power and ground just jumping across. And yeah, there's no insulation here, but that's fine. That will get completely covered with this piece as it goes on here. So coming out of the middle there. And I will probably actually CA the wire to that just to act as some sort of a strain relief. So when we're installing the rest, like the switch and a battery holder, we won't pull on that too hard. But again, all of this is completely optional, so I did all that off camera. But you could use any plug socket you want. On the legs, I just cut the wires plenty long enough. They might be a little too long. I might end up having to stuff some down inside of there. But again, just soldered the wires onto the little pins and put some heat shrink on it. And that silver that you see there, I just marked it so I would know where it plugs in, because you could put it in backwards. So I just marked silver here as well. Just this just silver Sharpie. If you do plug it in backwards, it's not going to hurt the LED, it just won't light up. So I just did that so I'd plug it in right the first time instead of having to plug it in, guessing, and unplug it and turn it back around later. Anyways, so next step, we've got those on. I believe the next step is I will go ahead and bond this guy here in place, making sure all the seams are nice and even. Also, I got the shoulder pieces printed. This is what it looks like with the support, so it prints on the bed like this. And you can see how the support is here. And here it is with the support removed. Now this is a little bit thin up in here. Don't know how fragile that is, but given what it does, I'm sure it'll be perfectly fine. And these just set in like that when you put the top parts together, and they're loose enough they can just kind of float and flop around a bit, which is fine. We don't really need a friction fit here. Those are just meant to fall in place naturally, so those are good. But I would be careful removing the support material here so that you don't crack right in here. This was a little bit tricky to print. Not too bad. I mean, you can see it came out pretty well. But the thing was, you know, there's no real flat surface. So as far as orientation for printing, I think the way I did it is about the best way you can do it. I'm just going to, like I said, I want to be careful with those. So I'm just going to cut that and here. And I did put a brim on it. You might remember me saying earlier that I don't normally do a brim with PLA, but since this didn't really have a whole lot of plate, you know, build a plate surface area, I put the brim in just to help it. And those come off just like that. So I did think about cutting it in half this way and printing one half like that and one half like that, but that would have made these posts here weaker because the build lines would have been this way, and it would have made this weaker. I think these are good like that. I also printed this piece that goes in here. So when you fold up these motorcycle and snap them in place, I think, I haven't really studied the instructions too carefully, but what I did see, it looks like part of the bike plugs into here. And this goes on here like that. So one part of the motorcycle comes around his head and kind of plugs in here. Now the instructions specifically say don't glue that little plastic piece in there. They say don't glue that piece in there, but if you don't, it just kind of floats around a little bit. I think they told you not to glue it because on the small kit, I think they're afraid of you gluing it in slightly the wrong position, then it won't, the other part won't plug in. Or if you got glue contaminated inside of here, that would also mess it up. But I don't want that floating around loose. I'm going to glue it in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use solvent to bond this in. And notice there's a deep hole and a shallow hole. You want the deep hole here, shallow hole like that. So I'm going to bond that in with solvent, making sure it's perfectly lined up and centered. And then I'm just going to go around the edge with CA, and that'll lock it in tight, solid. All right, but we'll do that a little bit later. So again, like I said, first thing I want to do is go ahead and bond this on. I'll go ahead and just kind of do that off camera here and show you what it looks like after the next step. All right, so working on fitting these together. That's not bonded on yet, but I wanted to test fit the shoulder joint here. And it'll go together better with a little bit of clamping on there. But I noticed that this was that way just a tiny bit, and it might still be. I can kind of pull it into shape. It's not looking too bad. There will be some gaps here that I'll have to fill. I don't know if they warped on the bed, but remember I talked about mixing some of the plastic with acetone, or not acetone, but with some of this stuff. Now if it's ABS, you can use acetone. But here's what some of that looks like, and as you can see, it's just you know, it's just like a plastic filler. And so what you do then is once you get some of that all melted up, and you got to keep it sealed. I lost the lid to that jar, but you got to keep it sealed or else the solvent will just evaporate and it'll just turn into a solid lump of plastic. But once it's bonded together, what you would do then is just mask off as close to the gap as you can get, and then press that stuff in or to fill in any gaps. And that actually works very well. But I think I can get rid of some of that by refitting some of these a little bit better. I also, let me get that back apart. I also went ahead and bonded this piece into here. Because like I said, I had to sand it down just a tiny bit. And since this edge sets down inside of here further than this edge set into here, then I had more room to play with here. Hopefully that makes sense. But I just got to do a little bit more trimming and fitting. I've got to make these fit a little bit better. And I also just realized I need to work on this one. I just bonded that together yesterday. I forgot to put the filler in here. This is really gapped up. But this one was almost the same way. And as you can see, I just filled in all those gaps with some ABS dissolved into acetone, and just press that into all the gaps, and it really seals it all up and makes it pretty much one piece. Obviously these will get sanded out, and they fit the, it actually goes this way, they fit the shoulder joints like that. And again, just make it a nice smooth friction fit. As you can see here, that'll actually hold the arm horizontal. It's got enough friction in it, but not so much that you can't just, you know, wiggle it and pull it out. So yeah, I've got to fill in the gaps here, sand all of those smooth, get those fitted, get that fitted. I think I need to sand a little bit around here so it lays flatter. Maybe sand a little bit more off of right here. Again, not very much. I mean, just a tiny, tiny bit is all you need. I kind of screwed up in that corner a little bit, but that's on the inside. You'll never see it. I could actually just completely cut that back off and it would be fine. But anyways, yeah, it's going to just be a lot of fitting, sanding, cutting, and fitting, and then bonding. So I'll get back when it's all together. And don't forget to put your shoulder pads in there before you bond it together. All right, so yeah, I'll let you know what that looks like, or I'll show you what that looks like when that part's done. All right, so I was fitting and sanding and fitting, and I got a little carried away, and I went ahead and bonded it together. That mark here, which I'm going to have to try harder to get that off, that I went to clamp it with this, and I had that on it, and it was so much pressure it broke my clamp, and it slid off of that, and it transferred some black plastic onto there, but I think I can get that off. It's like a so I got to try to get that off. That shouldn't be that big of a deal. As mentioned earlier, there are going to be a few little gaps, but we will fill that. Not so bad over here. We can see the shoulder pieces installed on each side, and this is ready for the arms and legs to go on. So I still have not decided exactly how I'm going to do the battery and the switch. I'll just get a well, I know I'm going to get like a button cell battery holder. I will probably put the switch, I don't know, maybe I'll just mount the switch like right back here, just under the back of his head. And I'm going to try to figure out a way to make the head removable. So I'll just put the battery and everything inside. So you just pop the head out, replace the battery, put the head back on. But again, I haven't really exactly figured out how I want to do that yet. Still need to put this on. Goes here. And still need to put these on, one on each side, goes right there. All right, but I'm dying to see what this thing looks like with the arms and legs installed. So this is a right arm, so we'll put that in here. And the left arm. put that like so. And the legs, I don't need to plug the legs in yet because I don't have the battery holder on it yet. So we'll just kind of shove those out of the way somewhere. But this one go in right there. That was a little bit loose, but I think I have a way if I need to tighten those up if I need to. And we'll put the other one, just kind of shove those wires up in there out of the way. Come on. Put that down like that, and then we'll stand the thing up. I'm going to have to move the camera because obviously you can't see that like that. Just lay him down real quick. And of course, it needs his head on it. Just put those legs on a little bit better. But yeah, let me stand him up, get his head on, and I'll show you what it looks like. All right, there he is. Like we said, he's not quite done yet, just a few more little pieces to put on him. But and then fill in a few seams, and after that we'll be ready to start on the motorcycle, which actually I've already started the motorcycle. I don't know if you can hear the printer in the background, but I started printing one of the tires because the tires are going to be very time consuming. I'm doing them in 2 halves, and each half will probably be about 15 hours each to print. We'll find out once this one is done for sure. But I think that came out pretty cool. He's about, I'd have to measure him, he's about 21 inches tall. The head is just sitting on there loosely. But he's about 21, 22 inches tall, somewhere in there. But yeah, it'll look even better once the motorcycle's wrapped around on his backpack side. So anyways, let me get those other pieces on and the gaps filled up, and then we'll, oh, and I got to figure out the battery and the switch. Then we'll show you what it looks like all done. All right, there he is, all together. His lights are on. I'll turn that light off here in just a second so you can see those lights better. I did not do the switch and battery holder yet. The wires are just kind of clamped onto the battery temporarily, just so we can kind of get a look at him. His lights on, but I'll figure that out at a later point. I don't even have a battery holder yet, so just to get this video out, again, those lights are optional. Just give you an idea of what it looks like all done and put together. I'm going to go ahead and put this video out, and yeah, that's it. I'll get those CAD files out for the body parts, so you can go ahead and print those up and get up to this point. It'll probably be a week or two before I get any of the motorcycle parts out. So as always, until next time, thanks for watching.